Time from the United States of America, we're now learning that Walt Disney-owned ABC has announced that it will indefinitely suspend airing Jimmy Kimmel Live after the late-night host made controversial comments about the killing of Charlie Kirk, drawing severe criticism from the head of Federal Communications Commission. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump has praised ABC's decision, stating that the network has finally had the courage to do what needed to be done. This move also follows the abrupt cancellation of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, which was another popular late-night show criticized by Donald Trump. The cancellation has come days after Colbert had publicly criticized his parent company's settlement with Trump over what he called was a frivolous lawsuit related to a 60-minute interview with Kamala Harris. Now, according to reports, some Democratic lawmakers have condemned the move by ABC, arguing that it constitutes an attack on free speech. Meanwhile, fans of Jimmy Kimmel Live have gathered outside the El Capitan Entertainment Center in order to protest ABC's decision to pull the show off air. Listen in.
It was like the show was about to start in like 45 minutes and we were still like all outside. So it was very like suspicious that something was going on, but we didn't know what it was. So after like around 3:30, someone just came outside and he said like, you know guys, we're really sorry for today, but the show is canceled.
Any show that's on TV that speaks out against Donald Trump, he's trying to shut down, and we're not losing our right to watch what we want to watch, but we're losing our freedom of speech. I mean, this is something that happens in, Russia and North Korea and China and state-run TVs, stuff.
I was actually just walking up the road here to try and find out what was going on with the show. I was attempting to get tickets, and I found out that it had been canceled indefinitely over some things that were said regarding the Charlie Kirk assassination.
I'm devastated. I'm really upset. I'm really upset. This is free speech. We are supposed to have free speech in this country, and this is not free speech. He didn't say anything wrong.
Pressures from pro-Trump political groups, the network acted in advance of the coming wave of pressure at these first and early signals to protect its own interests. Now, the irony here is that Kimmel was by far one of the milder commentators on what has occurred. He did not celebrate the assassination. He didn't even directly talk about Kirk himself. He talked about the murderer, and he also talked about how some people inside the MAGA movement, the pro-Trump people, are using this situation opportunistically to score political points. And as far as most people see, criticizing political movements falls within purview of acceptable political speech. It has nothing. It's nothing provocative or incendiary or something that could be interpreted as a call or for violence or an excuse for violence. So clearly, there's a lot of. This is more about political sensitivities than any real legal controversy here. So, of course, there's a very clear divide here. The Kimmel's defenders are framing this as political speech being chilled by government-adjacent pressure. ABC claims its platform governance under commercial and standards obligations. But what makes this moment particularly combustible among this fraught debate is that senior federal officials are now publicly weighing in on media contacts, while approvals and licenses sit on their desks. So that actually gives the most ground to back the First Amendment tinged arguments, even if the immediate terrain is contractual, dealing with affiliate agreements and content policies rather than constitutional. So what does that mean for the future? If the suspension of the program stretches, ABC has to fill a nightly hour with repeatable inventory, such as game shows, reality TV, or news magazine blogs, while deciding whether to reinstate Kimmel with conditions or an apology, whether to seat rotating guest hosts, or to retool the show with a new anchor, or to pivot the slot entirely. Advertisers hate uncertainty. That alone argues for a time-boxed review and a clear path. one reason trade outlets read the move as more than a weekend pause. And for the creators and critics, the practical lesson here is less about what you can say than how quickly distribution can collapse when affiliates bolt and regulators decide to grandstand and posture. The safer harbor they will see in the short term is streaming on studio-owned platforms, though those bring smaller linear ad dollars. If Kimmel does return, there will be tighter standards on language and pre-tape guardrails. If not, ABC will likely be testing lower risk, high commerce format in the slot. So what we are seeing is that indefinite suspension functions essentially like a soft cancellation unless ABC ends up setting terms and a date for return. So the risk just proves to be too much, and even if the government is not directly demanding the cancellation, the political atmosphere and the subtle pressure indicate are being read by ABC as indicia to make that move to protect themselves.
All right, ma'am. With that, I would like to thank you for taking out time speaking to us all at NewsX World. Viewers